Still keeping us company. We want to get started with In the Headlines. We just get to have a quick look at what the dailies have for us this morning. Hashtag still remains to be Good Morning Kenya. I have a copy of the Daily Nation. Not many stories that have been featured here on the front page, but starting with this particular story here on the top concerning the Deputy President's security as the drama continues to unfold, with now MPs allied to the Deputy President now demand the summoning of top civil servants to explain the changes, because as per what is currently the President and the Deputy President are offered the same security. But we have seen what unfolded this past weekend, so we are yet to see how this is going to be playing out today, because some of these MPs have also summoned Victor.
Yes. All right. I hope we are good to go. Very well. Oh, yes. All right. So let's take a look at, let me just check on that. We are doing pretty well. Oh, good. Yes. That's the effect of having our live transmission. Okay, so let's take a look at what's happening on the front page of the Star newspaper. Here I have the Star and the People Daily. But let me start with the Star newspaper. Focus on Tuju and Murathe as party revamp looms. Kenyatta endorsed sweeping changes during meeting with Kileweke. That is a meeting that took place on Friday, and now the president has now ceded ground to make certain changes in the Jubilee Party, mostly from the Kileweke faction. And now they have been given 2 weeks to come up with probable names that will take over the positions of Tuju and Murathe. That is on the front page of the Star newspaper here. And pictorials, there is a story here which I believe Jen will handle this later on in the program. A girl 17 years of age pulled out of school to wed teacher who is 26-year-old in Marsabit. 17 to 26. I may not have Jen will talk about this later on, but pulling a girl who is supposed to be in school, 17 years, should be around Form 3.
Yes.
Thereabout, to wed a teacher who is already working. To say the least, we need to get rid of some of this retrogressive kind of culture. That girl should be in school. There is no two way about it. That girl should be in school. A teacher went to school and now he's working. So, right, that lady should be allowed to be back in school. Now, there is that story there of the mother of the two brothers who were murdered in Kitengela. Now says that the only thing she needs is justice for her two sons, and that's the only thing that will now wipe away her tears. Raila takes first step in climbing Mount Kenya. ODM leader Raila Odinga on Sunday took his unity campaigns to Mount Kenya region as he intensifies efforts to claw back Deputy President William Ruto's perceived dominance in the region. He was in Kigumo constituency, where he also attended a church service there. Briefly, police addressed police officers' mental health. National Police Service urged. National Police Service Chairperson Eliud Kinuthia has been urged to deal with the increasing cases of mental instability witnessed among police officers. This is again something that we've discussed here before, and I think generally police officers should be given that psychological and mental health and preparedness in their line of duty. Jen, if you have something?
Yes, apologies for that earlier on hitch, but coming to the front page of the Daily Nation, not many stories have been captured here on the front page. One of the top stories here on the header is in regards to Deputy President William Ruto's security as the drama now heads to Parliament. Now MPs that are allied to Deputy President are demanding the summoning of top civil servants, saying that in as much as the Deputy President continues to downplay the changes, to his guarding, and now that he's been given security by the administration police officers, they want to understand what brought about these changes, because as per what they know, the deputy president and the president are both entitled to the same elite guards, and this is for their offices and their properties. But now they have written and gone ahead to summon the National Assembly. They're going to the National Assembly and the Senate to summon the head of public service, that is Joseph Kinyua, Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i, Inspector of Police Hilary Mutiambai, as well as the GSU Commandant, to explain the downgrading of Deputy President's security. And they also, in this particular letter, they cited an incident that happened back in 2017 where a gunman broke into Dr. Ruto's home in Wasingishu, and given now he's being offered security by AP officers, this is exposing him as the deputy president to a lot of danger. And of course, the deputy president went on to say that he doesn't mind being guarded by AP officers. If anything, bring even G4S officers to his properties. But this is something that the DP also said that the new security detail might have been sent to his home with ulterior motives. In as much as he doesn't mind it, him as well as his allies are still questioning why the changes, why the downgrading, given him and the president are entitled to the same elite protection. That is what has been captured here on the top of the Daily Nation. Coming to the main read, Raila's big promise to Mount Kenya voters if they do vote for him as president. And just looking at some of the pre-election pledges that are being made all over the place, Raila Odinga did declare he's open to dialogue when it comes to defining and getting the best contest partnership from the Mount Kenya region. And of course, this ignited a lot of speculation and people questioning as to whether he's going to pick a running mate from the Mount Kenya region or from his home area. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the front page of the Daily Nation for you this morning. Regina.
Into the details, and as far as these stories that have been captured, because it seems that the scribes have been reading from the same scripts, matters of politics, issues of why it is a do or die for the three. And when I say the three, is ODM leader Raila Odinga, Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka, and ANC Musalia Mudavadi. That is what we have on the front page of the Standard this morning. So three issues, or rather five issues have come out and have been given precedence on the front page, and I want to read them as they appear. First, the age factor and the rise of young politicians could deny them a chance in the 2027 polls. Just to give you the numbers, is that by 2027, Raila Odinga will be 82 years old, while Kalonzo will be 73 and Musalia Mudavadi 66. Now, catching up with Deputy William Ruto, who has started his campaigns early. That's the second issue. The third issue is that less than a year to the general election, they are yet to crystallize alliances. Remember, we saw a meeting between the president, that is President Uhuru Kenyatta, and members of OCA, and that is Kalonzo Mudavadi and Wetangula, who are working on a one outfit. And there was, there were efforts to actually convince the OCA principals to enter into a political arrangement with the ODM leader in next year's polls. And this hasn't borne fruit. It didn't bear fruit then. To date, we've not been told where OCA stands in as far as a Raila presidency is concerned, or rather candidature. Fourth issue, they are yet to craft their campaign message to Kenyans on the agenda, just as that story we had highlighted for you this morning in the headlines, and you can get further details on our website. You have seen Wiper address the public differently, while Musalia Mudavadi also was addressing the public over the weekend separately. They're yet to come up with a crystallized, campaign message for Kenyans under the new ship, so to speak, which is OCA. Fifth, Uhuru's unity attempt could earn them project tag, which could hurt their quest. We have been talking about, you know, the kingmaker, the trial, or rather the trial that befalls someone who has been seemingly appointed as to take over or a project of the current presidency. Political analysts have different views in regard to that. We're going to be having them in the course of this particular show, Monday through Thursday, just looking at why is it a do or die for Kalonzo and Raila as well as Mudavadi in the 2022 general elections. Now, I want to quote what Javans Bigambo, a political analyst, has to say in regard to that. He says the three politicians are working hard towards political oblivion. They are using the same old tactics, the same path without new ideas, no strategy to charm new voters. Those are words read word by word as presented or written by Javans Bigambo, a political analyst. Remember, we also welcome your view in regard to what we have broadcast, the stories, politics, business, and even sports. You can get us on Twitter at KBC Channel 1. To you, Victor.
All right. So there's a story here of 5 people who died after tire burst in Londiani. The hired vehicle was heading to Kisumu from Nakuru when accident happened. It is reported that a number of passengers were admitted to hospital after the crash at Jobat near the Kericho-Londiani junction on the busy Kericho-Nakuru highway. 3 of the passengers died on the spot, 2 others at Londiani Sub-County Hospital, while the 5 bodies are at the hospital mortuary. So we just send our condolences to the affected families and grace. All right, so Raila intensifies Mount Kenya foray as he ups bid to beat Ruto wave. ODM leader moves to counter DP's hustler movement, pledges better returns for resident. The former Prime Minister laid bare to faithful gathered in Kigumo, Murang'a County his plans for the region should he ascend to presidency. The ODM leader said that he had big plans to solve farmers' woes in the tea, coffee, avocado, milk, among other sectors of the agricultural economy. Raila has increased his forays into Mount Kenya, the church meetings coming a day after he addressed the Kikuyu Nation via FM station. So that is as far as political scene is concerned in the mountain. And C.S. Mushiru says that I fear no one except God, and youth must be told the truth. He says that he has the responsibility to raise his voice against the deceit. ICT Cabinet Secretary Joe Musheru has said that he fears no man except God and will tell the truth to the youth he claimed have been misled by some politicians, which I think is quite important. As far as speaking the truth is important to everyone, to all the politicians. All right. So the Deputy President says that Kenya's security system should not be politicized. DP says that changes should be handled with care to tame possible divisions, and he said that the police should be allowed to work independently. Remember, he's been on the forefront saying that some of these independent bodies should be allowed to work independently. And Ruto said that security theatrics being witnessed is a deliberate plan to distract him from furthering the politics of issues, development programs, and unity of the country. Okay, so at that particular point, I think it's good for us to take a break. When we come back, newspaper review still continues. Yes, we are good that way. Stick around, we'll be right back.
back. We are glad you are still keeping us company. We continue within the headlines, and just to pick it up from where we left it off with Victor, we come to the Daily Nation and look at this particular story. Actually, the main story here on the Daily Nation, Raila's big promise for Mount Kenya voters should they vote for him come 2022. So he has made big promises for the estimated 8 million voters in the Mount Kenya region, and with a Bible in his hand and kneeling down yesterday during a church service when he was addressing the congregation, he read Jeremiah 29 verse 11, which says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." Now, he went on to say that if elected president in the next general elections, he will address the plight of the Mount Kenya farmers by prioritizing value addition to improve earnings from the harvest, and also looking at the youth. He was specific to say that he would also seek to diffuse the ticking time bomb that is the youth by setting up income generating projects for the unemployed youths in this particular region. And of course, saying that, you know, after having reached a working agreement with President Uhuru Kenyatta, who has been termed as a rival turned ally, and this was back in 2018, March, during the handshake, this of course was the turning point for him and President Kenyatta to unite the Mount Kenya region and of course bring growth and prosperity to this particular bloc, and especially now that he has the backing and the support of President Kenyatta. And of course, this is all pegged on whether or not the Mount Kenya region is going to vote for him. The promises have started, guys.
Yeah.
And
they will come.
Former Premier was very smart with quoting this particular Bible verse, Jeremiah 29 verse 11, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." Should you vote for me? Promises have started. Regina.
I
see how strategic that verse is. I don't know if you guys munasikia uzito.
Yes, I hear that, and I'd want to challenge who is listening to read a little bit further. Jeremiah 33.
Yes.
It says that call unto me and I'll tell you marvelous and wondrous things that you've never had before. So Sandy, how will you know that? Well, Jeremiah is quoted as the prophet of hope. So
yes,
and I want to say this on a very lighter note. We have heard this slogan, tuache kuziana woga. Now this is a change in tact where we are, you know, selling hope. But the question is, have we done civic education for Wanjiku? Because these slogans, these promises, and we have not had enough yet. We are yet to get there. We are going to be promised heaven. Literally, we are going to be promised heaven. But how many will deliver? How many will deliver? What is feasible? What is not? What can we do? What can we not do? What is priority? What is not? Wanjiku needs to know all that, but sad truth, looking at her history, we'll forget all that
very fast.
We will forget all that and focus on where does this person come from?
Or what can I get right now?
Or what can I get from them? And unfortunately, that we lower the bar every time we go to the polls.
Yes. Right, and on that note, Raila has been told that Raila should change from reggae to benga to win over Mount Kenya voters.
Benga as it may, you know, reggae stopped. Okay, we don't know if it stopped, and we don't know if it's the DJ, you know. Or it's a pause, but that is that. And talking about delivery, the gender rules remain elusive 11 years later.
Yeah.
We passed the Constitution in 2010. There was a clause about gender representation, but 11 years later, we are still singing the song. Now, analysts have said that lack of political goodwill has seen bills designed to cure the gender parity die in Parliament. We all have been witnessing every time that this debate is coming on, and I'd want to take you up to on the recent one, where we only had 174 members of Parliament present in the House, and at least only 233 members were required. So we have missed the targets even on representation. What does that say about the lack of political goodwill when it comes to issues of gender parity? The former CJ, David Maraga, he issued, a threat, so to speak, to dissolve the House if the gender rule was not implemented. But since that threat was issued, nothing has been done. So in as much as we're talking about, I'm going to deliver you, whether it is in canon or, or I'm going to give you X, Y, Z, what has been done? What is a track record? We need to be alive to the facts and not what we're anticipating. However, the Senate has done well, and then we want to say the Senate has met the requirement by having at least, they have 21 female senators out of the 67 members of the House. Of the 21, 8 are nominated, while 3 are selected. We need to do a little bit more when it comes to elective posts of women. And I like the way whenever we're talking about politics and where women are concerned, the male counterparts come out and say, women are enemies of themselves because they have the numbers. As far as the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics is concerned, we have the populace, we have the numbers. But how many of us as women vote for fellow women? Victor?
Yeah. The issue of two-third gender rule has been in Parliament for the longest time, you can remember, and we are almost going to the next cycle of elections, and that has not been implemented to this particular point. So we just hope that at some point things will change. Okay, so let's talk about some business, shall we? State to clear number plates backlog in 2 weeks. That's according to Hussein Dado, who is a CAS. There has been that backlog of number plates at the port of entry, that is in Mombasa. And now the CS says that it will take only 2 weeks to clear the backlog. The government is working towards clearing the vehicle registration plates shortage in the country. It has said, giving a timeline of 2 weeks. This must be some good news to the importers and people who have their vehicles still stuck at the port of Mombasa, at the clearance and forwarding farms. This as more vessels continue to call at the port of Mombasa, bringing in cars, which is adding pressure to registration and issuance of number plates. Now, as of last week, there were over 8,000 used cars imported, registered and cleared at the port after paying the requisite taxes, but are yet to be issued with physical plates. Okay, remember you've seen there's this number plate, which is not the legit one. It's legit, yes, but it's not the original that should be issued by the government or by the NTSA. It's meant to clear all vehicles from the port of Mombasa, either to their owners or to different, car bazaars and different destinations. But now that backlog is still, bringing a lot of congestion at the port, and at least 6 more vessels are also expected to dock at the port between tomorrow and September 9th. Regina, in terms of business, you can remember the backlog that is we continue to experience at the port of Mombasa. What do you say about this in terms of business? Because if you have 3 vessels, at least 6 vessels are overseas, still on the high seas and are respected in Mombasa. In terms of business, how is this case going so far, the issue of number plates by the NTSA and the government at the KRA?
Well, talking about business at the ports, we have seen a multi-agency kind of, operation down at the ports. We have KPA as well as KRA and NTSA. Why? Remember, President took issue with the delays and saying that this is one of the reasons that is, holding back businesses, especially locally owned businesses, and said that something needs to be done, or rather efficiency has to be at the clearance of goods at the port. So KPA, KRA, as well as NTSA came up with an agency that is going to help, came to work together to help clearing and forwarding. And what I can say, we've not had much complaints per se. And remember, also, government has also tried and decongest the port, and as far as clearance of goods is concerned. Remember, now we have the ICD. We have the ICD here at Nairobi, as well as the other one in Naivasha there. So it has helped ease a few things when it comes to even getting that particular cargo.
Yeah.
So I want to say it was a step in the right direction, and those especially who do consolidated. And when I mean consolidated goods, where you import is like you fill a 40-foot container, but you're not the owner of that particular 40-foot container. There's Jane, there's Victor, there's Doreen, there's Martin, there's Fathili. We all know that this container is destined for Kenya. It brings, that is what you call consolidation of goods. And when it comes, it is cheaper for all of us. So this is one of the moves that we have seen. Government just try to support the MSMEs, and actually the container depot is already active at the railway station here in Nairobi, where you walk in, we ordered a 40-foot container, you have your goods, I have my goods, Jane has, we all go pick at our own pace. And that's where you're told to even include a logistics company that is going to do for you logistics as well as deconsolidation of goods, and that is already operation. So I think in as far as making their promises do, I may not have the right numbers, but I've seen a few things work for people I have met, especially traders who work around Nyamakema. We did a spot check beginning of this year, and what the deconsolidation depot has done for them at the railways that is operational. But still something needs to be done, especially with the risks of the high seas and such, and also this movement on of goods during COVID times. Remember, at some point there was a talk of having a force majeure to those people who are bringing in such cargo over issues of COVID-19. Remember, this was an unprecedented issue when it came to COVID-19 and affected maritime business as it is. But I think we are getting back on track. And talking about getting back on track, Kenyans should brace for high cost of power. Why? This is because when COVID-19 struck globally and also here in the country 1 year on in March, there was a decline, or rather the dip in consumption of power. But now it seems that the uptake is up, and Kenya Power has to buy more power from thermal producers. Thermal power is more expensive than any other form of power. So as we continue getting back to where we were in as far as the economy is concerned, things are bound to get thick. Remember, you can get further details on our website, and also look at what the Kenya KNBS has to say in regard to where we stand as far as consumption of power is concerned. Remember, the majority of the Kenya members, actually manufacturers, have been saying that the aspect of cost of power is what has made cost of production high, and they always pass this back to you and I, to consumers. So we need to brace. Actually, there's a whole report here in the Standard that says that in the electricity, we are yet to reach the 2019 levels, where electricity was sold, or rather was sold at 749 million kilowatts per hour to Kenya Power over the first half year. That is according to KNBS. Now, as it stands, we have consumed, let me see, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, the amount of thermal power consumed over the first half year of this year has increased to 503 million units, that is kilowatt hours. That is a 58% growth from 317 million units that were used over a similar period in 2020. So if you're wondering why the fuel, or rather power consumption, is adjusting upwards, well, we are consuming more, and the role of Kenya Power is not to generate power but to distribute power, so it has to buy from someone. And now they have opened up their bank, or rather their account, with thermal power producers. So it's bound to get a little bit heavy.
Yeah.
And you know, speaking of KPLC, you know, when you buy your tokens, they usually break down for you how much was used on taxes, on this levies here and there, and the actual amount that has gone towards purchasing those units. And even for postpaid customers, they're now moving to, they're called smart meters, where they are doing away with the old meters and now installing new meters that you can actually also using you can use the app that they actually put up, or you can go online to check your usage, understand how many units you used in a month, how much 1 kilowatt costs, and you can actually do your own math before they send you the actual reading, so that if there's any error, you're able to pick it up with actual information that they have provided. And I think this is also a step in the right direction in terms of also helping us understand why we're paying so much money when it comes to electricity here in our country.
Yes.
Before tuende kwa hiyo, let me bring you to the People's Daily here, just back on the political note.
Right.
And here, looking at the main story on the front page of the People Daily, the BBI orphans.
Yeah, we remember we talked about this, and by the way, was it last week? But when we talked about this, now the political implications.
Yes, the ripple effect.
The ripple effect
starts to play out.
Most people are looking just toward that particular point that BBI
will sail through,
and perhaps they were going to benefit from it, but. Here we are.
Here we are. We are now having second-term governors being referred to as BBI orphans. And now it is back to the drawing board for most of these governors. And actually Mutua was the one who, Governor Mutua, Dr. Alfred Mutua was saying, for those, he's also serving his final term, that some of his colleagues must now make decisions based on the current reality, because many of the second-term governors were supporting the BBI in the hopes of being accommodated with the expanded, the additional seats. Now they are looking, they are just trying to find a way to remain politically afloat, given the BBI is not an alternative for them anymore. And as per the current law, they can only, this is the last term, they cannot vie for another term as governors, and now they have to seek positions or a political lifeboat. And I don't know what you guys think about this situation. The fact that they were only, some of them were only supporting the BBI because of the positions that they hoped to benefit from when it comes to the expanded executive. Some were eyeing the Prime Minister's seat, others were eyeing up some seats in Parliament, and actually some of them openly announced that their intentions were, they opted for parliamentary seats with their eyes on cabinet slots, and of course others had already declared that they will be going for the top job. Now that the BBI is no longer there to favor them, it is back to the drawing board.
It's back to the drawing board, and we have Dr. Rotich here and a panel of our analysts here. We are going to delve much into that, because now, what's now left for them? And in politics, we usually say, it's a cliche statement that anything is possible. Some of them will have, will make a comeback in a way that, in a manner that we may not understand at this particular point.
Ukishakuwa governor, ni wapi utaenda sana if not up?
I would want to remind you a book that the majority have read. I don't know if, Victor, you've read this particular book. It was a set book.
Yeah.
And the title was Wale Nisi by Katama C.G. Mkangi. Wale Nisi. Wale Nisi. And if I can go back to what my Fasihi teacher was trying to, you know, inculcate when I was reading that particular piece of literature, says there are so many ways to look at Wale Nisi.
Yeah.
Wale ni sisi, to wale, sisi to wale, unaona?
Yeah.
So now when you're looking about, we're talking about politics. The reasons why some people do the things they do is
they'll have to calculate their way back. That is not an issue, by the way.
Ni wakati wetu wa kula. It is our time to eat.
Unakumbuka Chinua Achebe akisema when things fall apart.
When things fall apart.
When things have already fallen apart, where will they hold on to hope? But we just have to wait and see. Lakini ukishakuwa governor, utarudi kuwa MP?
Trust me, we would.
Possible.
We will see that. Everything is possible.
It's very possible.
It is.
Everything
it's just a wait and see game.
is possible. And just as they say, there are no permanent enemies or friends in politics.
Yeah.
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
Yes.
But some of them will have to accept early and planned retirement.
Even as we talk about politicians trying to make a comeback, what about over 12,000 Form 1s yet to report to school in Kilifi County?
Man, by the coastal region is leading with
12,000
Form 1s that haven't reported to school.
Yes.
And it's really sad.
12,000.
And here we're now hearing a case of another girl being pulled out of school.
17, yes. Get married to a teacher who is...
A teacher.
Yeah, 26 years old. You know, Coast Regional Commissioner John Elungata has directed chiefs and their assistants to look for 12,827 Form 1 students who have not reported. 12,827. Now, the secondary school students cannot be accounted for in Kilifi County. In Kilifi County alone. Elungata said that the administrators on Friday to identify all Form 1 students who have not been able to report and assist them. Remember, CS Education, that is Prof. George Magoha, started that door-to-door campaign to flash out all students who have not reported to Form 1, and he said that it was going to be a nationwide activity or action exercise that was meant to push all those kids who have not reported to school to go to school. So let me just appeal to the parents. This is it. You see that child you're not taking to school right now. At some point in life, later on in life, you will regret why you did not take your child to school. It might be beneficial to you right now that your child is getting married at the age of 26, at the age of 16, 17, or even 18, because of that thing that you need to benefit from right now. But at some point in life, it will have to bite you. So
catch up.
It will catch up with you.
I agree, Victor, but let me
will catch up with you because...
Let me be a devil's advocate in regard to this matter. When we talk about 100%, you know, transition to Form 1. Looking, for example, let's talk about Kilifi. The poverty index. Look at the poverty index, and some of these parents who let their children get married at an early age say that this is the only way to ensure their children's survival, that they cannot afford to pay the school fees, they cannot afford to feed these children because they're feeding their younger siblings. So when government says that it wants to realize 100% transition from primary school to secondary school, I think we need to do better. Whether it's rolling out a program away from the bursary, because actual figures on ground is that some of these monies do not reach the needy families. And that is a fact. It has been proven. We have carried stories on all media platforms. Yes? Something needs to be done because Kilifi in itself, the poverty index speaks volumes. So you're appealing to these parents to take their children to school. With what? They can barely feed them. And I'm not advocating for children staying home, but I think we need to tackle the issue. We need to tackle the issue, and the issue is poverty. What can we do to empower these communities that they can provide for their children and themselves? Then we're bound to see a change. But if we say we're pushing this, 1,200 students who are yet to report to high school, they report. How do they get there? What will they be wearing?
Regina, you might play the devil's advocate, but the government will not take that. All kids, according to the Minister of Education, says, you know, it's been subsidized, and according to CS Magoha, all kids must go to school, whichever way. When you talk of, you know, some of the parents are not able to pay their school fees, they're not able to cater for their needs in school, the government will pin certain parents. In fact, they will come out saying that, you know, we have subsidized the school fees. But when you have this number, 12,000, and if you look at this, actually it's 63%, that's Coast Region. That's a big number.
Here they've also highlighted Kajiado, where there is some 3,000 students who are yet to join Form 1. And most of these are said to be children who are from villages within the Kajiado County that have failed to go to school, the rural villages.
And I think it has to be something that is now supposed to be highlighted. The way we give politics that limelight, those kids, we should also be given that limelight to take them to school. Because now when you talk about chiefs moving around the villages, you know, pushing kids to go to school, it should be a responsibility. At Form 1, your life is just starting to shape up pretty well. So if you are a parent, you're a guardian, you're a student watching this program right now, your future is in school. Your future is in school. Go to school. People have, you know, go and plead your case there. Go and plead your case. Regina, did you see a situation where some students way back in school never used to go back home during closing? They say, "Mi naenda wapi? I just want to stay here." And they'll be given accommodation in school. You know, you have maybe a chef or two. You remain in school. If you're not able, the school would accommodate them and would cater for them because they listen to such people. Those are the kids that, you know, later on in life, when you remember where you come from, you'll come out to be a successful person.
Agreed.
Okay.
I went to school with some, and anytime we were packing to leave, they were actually carrying the books to class. To class. And you wonder, like, you don't want to go home?
Yeah,
until
where you
told me going back home, for you it will take hours to arrive home.
Yeah.
For me, it will take up to 5 days to get home. And another 5 days to come back.
To travel back home.
And even where does that money come from? I'm barely here. I am barely here.
Yeah.
I am barely having this uniform. I'm barely, you know, surviving. So I'd rather be in school. And I can't remember if that particular girl ever went home since arriving in Form 1. I never saw Fozia, I remember her name, go home. I never. We always found her in school from day one. Actually, she arrived a week after Form 1.
That place, yeah.
Yes.
Some never went back home.
Yes.
Some never went back home. All right, so parents, please just do your due diligence and take kids to school. It will be good for us, for the nation, tomorrow. All right, Jen.
Let's come to the Daily Nation and look at this particular piece here. I don't know if it has been featured on your papers, but Health CS tells health workers give talks a chance. Now, Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe has urged health workers to engage the devolved governments in talks instead of going on strike, and especially now amid this pandemic, we're trying to roll out the whole inoculation process. And of course, there are some countries, by the way, that have been reporting that they are already experiencing shortages of this particular jab. Trans-Nzoia is one of the countries that has been highlighted. But now he told the workers to be patient as negotiations over pay continue. He also singled out health workers in Nyanza, saying that talks to improve their welfare are on. We did see them done their tools a while back. And he was specific to Kisumu, Migori, Homa Bay, and Siaya, who have already issued the strike notices. And he said that Kenya is hoping to achieve the target of vaccinating more than 10 million people by the end of this year. And this will not be possible should they choose to down their tools, and especially so over the talks about their pay. I don't know if that story has been featured on your papers, but he just urges health workers to allow the conversations, the talks, to be given an opportunity to see if they can come to a middle ground and understanding before they down their tools. And especially so amid this inoculation process and this pandemic.
I think that's as far as health is concerned. But still, just to tie this story to that as well, MTRH pipes oxygen to 1,000 beds to improve emergency services. Good one. I think MTRH, makofi kwenu, that's a good one. At a time when the country is still grappling with, you know, the shortage of oxygen tanks in different hospitals across the country. And MTRH, the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital in Eldoret, has completed piping of oxygen to its 1,000 beds to improve emergency services. So which means every bed in that hospital has an oxygen pipe already piped to that particular bed. So it's easier. CEO Dr. Wilson Arwasa said that the move was to ensure all admitted patients receive high-quality services, including those suffering from COVID-19. And by the way, this might not be the case of COVID-19 alone. Some go to the hospital because of other ailments, you know, pneumonia, where you have breathing complications, and it's going to improve the cases of COVID-19 and recovery to the affected patients there. Okay, at this point, Jen?
We want to bring
Regina.
this particular segment to a close, but of course you can go ahead and grab the copy that best resonates with you. We do hope we have better positioned you to know which one that is going to be, but we want to get started with the discussions that we have lined up for you. But keep talking to us, check in, let us know how you're enjoying these discussions, and of course you can share your thoughts as we continue with this particular programming. Use the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter, at KBC Channel 1 is the official station handle, and do remember to tag us individually at Raymond Manyara, at Victor Olo, and at Jane Mamboy. Stay with us, we'll be right back.